business wants innovative AI. That means, fast, faster, fastest, And that would create unmanageable risk or processing. We don't want this. So secure by design is really easy to write on paper, but it's hard when you think about especially 15 plus years, 20 years product life cycles, Then you got the complexity of thousands of suppliers in the background and plans that were never built for frequent patching. Blind spots are AI components treated as black boxes from tiered 2 or 3 suppliers. And the fact that many AI vendors don't provide SBOMs or attestations yet is something which makes the governance part especially harder, because how can you now judge about something like this? How can you value the individual risk of an AI component? Otherwise, I would say we are just training consumers for iPads and not real defenders. We need humans.
This is a conversation that brings a perspective we haven't had on the series before. I sat down with Volker Schwaberow, CISO and Global Data Protection Officer at Kiekert, a global automotive supplier. He wears both hats simultaneously, which gives him a unique lens on where security, privacy, and AI collide. Volker has spent 23 years across Siemens Energy, E.ON, Atos, and now automotive manufacturing, securing the products that have to work for 15 to 20 years in every climate on Earth. In this conversation, he breaks down how NIS2, the EU AI Act, TISEX, the Cyber Resilience Act, and GDPR all apply to the same organization at the same time, and how he avoids drowning in them. We also go deep on post-quantum cryptography and why it's urgent for AI agent authentication, why he believes we are raising a generation of AI consumers, not defenders. If you operate in Europe manufacturing or regulated industries, this one is essential. Let's get into it. Thanks a lot, Volker, for taking out time and joining the AI GovSec discussion series. Really appreciate you taking out time and sharing your knowledge and wisdom with us, because some of our community members are based in the US, in Europe, and Asia. So some of them might not know you. Would you mind giving a short introduction about yourself?
First of all, Adi, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be on your podcast. I have seen several from the series. It was a really interesting discussion. So I'm coming from Kiekert in Germany, which is a leading manufacturer in the automotive industry. I'm looking back across 23 years, and I have always been in environments where security isn't theoretical. It's most often more tied to the physical outcomes. So it's not some academical side on it. It is something where we go into practical processes. And I have several sides in my career, pieces in my career. One of them was at E.ON or Siemens Energy. There it was keeping the lights on and turbines spinning. Then I also had the pleasure to join this provider at Atos right around the time when they merged between Atos Origin and Siemens IT Solutions. And that was more about large-scale system integration. So coming back to Kiekert, it's about automotive closure systems. It's about a product, door locks, latches, tailgates. And the complexity here is that they have to work for more than 15 years plus. So this is really a very interesting mission. I have been in every climate, and today we talk about AI as another layer of embedded intelligence in products, lines.
Yep, no, completely. You've got a great solid background in there, and I think you have undersold yourself. That's how I'll put it. Let's dive straight into that solid background. As you've slightly touched upon, you have been a CISO as well, and you are also playing a role of a global DPO, data protection officer at Kiekert, which is a global automotive supplier. You have also held security leadership roles at Siemens, at E.ON, at Atos. If I ask you, what's the thread across your sort of 20 plus years of experience which you had? And how does AI is impacting that experience and industry which you are right now in physical products, manufacturing lines, supply chains?
Yeah, like you said, I'm wearing both hats, and they force tighter integration from day one. So most organizations, they have a silo, between cybersecurity and data privacy. Yeah, so the CISO sees these threats, he sees resilience, and the DPO, the data privacy officer, is more about the lawful processing and the rights of persons. But with AI, I can't afford that separation. Yeah, even if I would be in one of these roles, because AI processing personal data, that's for sure. It can be about biometric access patterns. It can be about driver behavior, in connected systems. And if you take this example, that's both a security control problem and a GDPR Article 22.9 issue. AI making decisions about people, access rights, quality rejects, for example, is the same overlap. So being in a dual role means I embed privacy by design, which is something every data privacy officer will tell you. He wants to achieve privacy by design. And the second one, the very old-fashioned security by design. In the same governance process, no hands-off, and I would say no gaps, because you have the full picture, and you have the full decision over these items. For me, it also means I can push back faster, because I don't have to coordinate with someone else at that point. Of course, I have to coordinate with my organization behind. But from the governance perspective, it's way back faster. The business wants innovative AI. That means, fast, faster, fastest. And that would create unmanageable risk or processing. We don't want this. So it's good to connect these two roles.
Got it. And just diving slightly in there, as you touched upon it, because I think you hold the dual roles, you wear both hats. And we see, at least here in the UK and in the US, most organizations have these roles as separate, like different sort of profiles or people holding these roles. Yeah. And when AI enters the picture, AI processing personal data, making decisions about people, as you mentioned, in AI embedded in products, I guess you slightly touched upon it, but I'll go a little bit deeper. That how does wearing both the hats simultaneously change your approach around AI governance, change your approach around how you think about, let's say, privacy by design, as you mentioned, but also AI security?
Yeah, mainly from the governance processes. So we embed privacy controls, we embed cybersecurity controls, and we also aim to interchange them. So we connect them, we combine them together. It's not like this is now the data privacy control and it has a totally different wording, which would be confusing for our customers, for our internal customers, from a governance perspective. No, we combine these topics and make abstraction from it and have an abstracted control, which takes both hats and tries to mitigate risks from both perspectives, from the privacy layer and also from the cybersecurity layer.
And just this is coming out of curiosity, because via my podcast, I've spoken to so many CISOs. Some of the CISOs are in the camp of AI actually speeds up the security culture as well, and you can detect more threats faster via AI. And then I've spoken to few privacy people as well who thinks, no, AI is risk, as you're saying, personal data. We need to make sure the guardrails are there before doing with anything in AI. So I guess both the conflicting thoughts would be in your head whenever you are acting in those roles.
Yeah.
Who wins? And is there any criteria you play, like for specific tasks, this person wins versus the specific task, this person wins?
No, not really. There are different obligations. You have the layer of laws, regulation, which is the most important ones, being compliant. So this has to win. So That means from a compliance perspective, you need contractual agreements which allow you to share data or process data, with AI. And then there are also controls like the human control. And Microsoft named it perfectly Copilot, and I see it as that. It's not something where I simply would say, let's automate all processes. Let's get an AI over it, and we are fine. No, if we talk about serious areas like our Security Operations Center, there are humans assisted by AI. And that's the drill. It's not about full automation. And as long as you don't go into the full automation, like I will automate anything with AI agents, I would say you are fine. Do little steps. Don't do the big move yet.
No, I think this completely resonates with what everybody mentioned, that AI helps in the productivity. AI helps the SOC team moving faster, but you do need humans running those SOC, and it's too risky. So I am aligned. Moving on, from a regulatory perspective, slightly touching upon your background in there as well, you wrote about NIS2 registrations in Germany feeling remarkably close to the administrative mode of filing tax returns, and that Germany has a rare talent for making urgency feel administrative. Beyond the humor, what's the reality of implementing NIS2 for a global organization similar to yours or any global organization? How does AI impacts it?
Yeah, the humor is real. NIS2 registration in Germany, that does feel almost like filing your tax return, complete with all the stuff like portals and forms, and it's not so open. You need your time, and sometimes it's frustrating, but you can manage it. Yeah, the reality for a global tier one automotive supplier is long trouble if you take these things. You have to register entities across the group. You have to map the essential and important status, which comes from the regulation. So manufacturing of critical components, and this complicates it more because you have to prepare 24 hours incident reporting. That's your mission, to be able to report during the first 24 hours in an incident. That's anyone who ever managed an incident and who felt the fire, who felt the heat, actually know, but this needs AI complicates it, mainly because many AI use cases, they sit in important entities territory or even cross borders. So detection to reporting timelines are tight here at 24 hours, when your AI models are running interference in the cloud or on edge devices in plants. How do you do it? We must see. I don't think the final answer has been found. NIS2 is, okay, it's not young. Situation is young. And we have to learn how we handle especially AI in that construct.
Understood. Just two things on the back of that, specifically on the regulation and from a Germany perspective, because we know that the NIS2 is applying across most of the EU states, right? Do you think, is there any other country which is managing it better than Germany, where it's a little bit more better? So that's one question. The next part of it is, if you are advising someone who is your peer, let's say CISO, who's establishing a business in EU and starting NIS2 from scratch, implementation of it, what would be the top 3 things you would tell him to do it right from day one?
Do the basics. Do the basics. It's all about an organization. So if you come from an ISO 27001 perspective, you have a good basic, but that's not all. Now you have to match the specific requirements by NIS2. One of them, which is also often debated, is the requirement for special cybersecurity awareness trainings for the top management. So this basically means you have to advise your top management in a regular manner about cyber risks and how to measure them, how to mitigate them. What's the mitigation? And this is not an easy thing. It's really not an easy thing. And that's something you need to keep in mind. Another thing is if you haven't built up monitoring, that's one exactly of these basics. It's operational security. You need monitoring to see things. And that's actually also what NIS2 wants you to do, to monitor things, to interpret them, to be on track with what's happening in your operational security. So I would advise do the basics first and get an organization together.
Understood. And just for the previous question, which was, is any other country managing the whole NIS2 filing process, registration process slightly better than Germany from your perspective?
I can't talk for all countries. I have good experience, of course, with Germany and Czech, coming from our business. And I think what other countries do better is the registration process. It is in Germany a really tough issue to get your accounts together, to get your identification, and also to fill the questionnaires online. So even if it's online processed and on our online tool, you can improve that.
Understood. You have highlighted that the Cyber Resilience Act and the challenges manufacturers face, secure by design, failing when expertise is missing, update management is a structural challenge in distributed plants, and 24-hour reporting colliding with real detection times. Now, all of this is already there. And when we add the whole AI layer on top of this, the AI is embedded in the products. As we know, a lot of sort of vendor solutions that comes with AI now. An AI-enabled, let's say, vehicle locking system, for example, how does the CRA compliance change from your perspective for that?
Yeah, first of all, it's absolutely a game changer, because our products are the products with digital elements. You got maybe in future AI-enabled locking systems. They have the over-the-air update capability. They may have embedded machine learning for detection of anomalies. So secure by design is really easy to write on paper, but it's hard when you think about especially 15 plus years, 20 years product life cycles. Then you got the complexity of thousands of suppliers in the background and plans that were never built for frequent patching. That was never the idea behind it. So from the structure, these objectives of a facility have to be changed, and the facility have to be changed to meet them. So update management becomes structured from my perspective. But again, you can't just patch updates like a consumer app, like our iPhones or Android devices. You have to do coordinated recalls maybe, or over-the-air processes that must not compromise the function's safety. I think that's really a challenge. And so the 24 hours vulnerability reporting could collidate with real detection times in especially these distributed supply chains. AI embedded in the product simply raises the bar.
Yes. And I think on the back of this, because we have talked about, let's say, NIS2, and we're talking about the cyber resilience, and this is what I hear mostly with the EU CISOs, that you have got NIS2, you have got, let's say, some of them have got maybe DORAs, mostly have got GDPRs as well. Then now you're getting EU AI Act, you have got the Cyber Resilience Act, you have got probably some of them is TISEX as well. So how does, from your perspective, as you have operated in EU for so long, right? How does a CISO avoid drowning themselves in the regulations? Like, how does he can avoid drowning in the regulation? Is there a practical sort of like guidance you would like to share?
Yeah, my practical integration strategy would be that you rely on 20 years of practical reliability. So it's nothing new that you drive a management system, but use this management system as one unified risk management framework. So align it with ISO 27001 and sector specifics like TSOCs in our automotive industry, mainly with a single control catalog. Yeah, it's also an idea we already talked about with the privacy by design. Yeah? You start to map to all requirements and you abstract from it. Yeah? You look, what are the NIS2 risk measures here? What is the Cyber Resilience Act trying to say? What is the AI Act obligation? And what does GDPR tell you? I mean, of course, this is complex, but if you do that, you can use a regulatory overlay map. Yeah. Right. In your GRC tool, for example. So one control, vulnerability management, for example, satisfies multi-regulations, and governance is centralized at group level and can always update that and help different perspectives from the organization to get this control running, to get this control formalized in word, in speech, and then in mitigation measures. How can you achieve that? That would be the next question here. And you could do it, for example, with quarterly regulatory audits. So you try to check what you are doing and you learn from it, and then you iterate again. Yeah? So this is, of course, not perfect, but it's the way I learned it 20 years ago, and it still works. That's a nice thing. Yeah.
So what I'm taking back from that is having using all of these regulations and deriving a one unified sort of risk management framework from it. And let's say driving as per that risk management framework, sort of putting the controls in and then mapping across, because one control can map to multiple regulations, and then using your GRC system as your MIS. And then obviously having the support with, let's say, quarterly or periodic audits to see how you are doing against it. That's the ideal. Yeah.
And try to improve from there, from your findings. So that is the way to go forward.
Moving on into the new upcoming world around the post-quantum cryptography, which I think is your also interest area, because I know you have been vocal about the post-quantum cryptography readiness, calling it real work and not theory, and urging CISOs to start migrating now. Obviously, some of this could be a very new topic to the audience. So what I would like is, in layman terms, if you explain what is this for them to understand, and then also talk about how does this intersect with the AI security, with the AI models, AI communication.
Yeah, welcome to the quantum world. So quantum computing is a thing, and all reliable cryptographic schemes we know and we have learned to love, like A, for example, they will fail in such an environment. And this means post-quantum world, post-quantum cryptography. There are already schemes, there is already regulation, in hardwise in process, but also online. It's real work because crypto underpins everything we know, and especially AI relies on. If you just take the signing of an AI model, if you take secure enclaves in cloud environments, or especially for training and interference of models, if you take the transport layer security as one of the major points to secure our communication and to authenticate it, it's also a point in AI for agent communication. You need to authenticate your AI models or agents. And AI models themselves become high valuable assets that need long-term confidentiality. Let's think again of the 20 years life cycle. So some trainings data or IP must stay protected for this time. We are already piloting PQC migration for our internal PKI and mainly for the VPN structure. So next is also signing AI artifacts and securing AI agent-to-agent communication. And it's urgent. So what does post-quantum really mean? You harvest now and you can decrypt later. That's the thing. And that doesn't care about our interference.
And it sounds like you guys really ahead sort of in the future, because what I am seeing organizations, they are already struggling with even cloud migrations, and now AI is burdening them. But I think you guys are thinking way ahead about agent to agent communication, which is the right thing, to be honest, because already employees and teams are deploying agents right, left, and center. And I know organizations are struggling to even identify how many AI agents and how many AI tools is being used in the organization.
Yeah, it needs a register and that needs data. And again, it's also about data quality. One main thing I have learned from it is when you come to this topic, build central processes so that you got all the important parties in your organization in the process so that they know. Yes, I think the know is the first real aspect, which is important, that everyone knows, first of all. And what you do of it is another thing. But if you don't have the information that something like agent-to-agent communication is running, or that there is now a new project in some OT department which involves AI, that's fatal, because it could run against your governance and your strategy.
Got it. Yeah. I think you have also wrote about deepfakes and proposed signed intent as the solution, that sort of AI videos, AI images may persuade people, but signatures must authorize yourself. With AI generated deepfakes becoming increasingly convincing, and they can exactly talk like me, exactly look like me, is cryptographic identity the only reliable trust anchor left? What do you think?
From my perspective, yes. And this applies not only to AI, it applies to so many other moments in our daily life and work as well. Cryptographic identity is really at the core of the zero trust philosophy. And yes, we are under massive pressure here too. So the post-quantum time is getting closer, and I don't want to rush or shorten this. Even the best world can only function if the underlying processes support it. And if we reached a mature state of process security. So first of all, it means clearly defined workflows with no urgent exceptions or clear ownership, regular reviews, and most important, real awareness from everyone is involved here. People need to understand why we sign a paper, first of all, why we verify something, and what happens if shortcuts are taken. So if you don't understand why you sign and why you verify, the shortcut is taken because of that. And it only works, from my perspective, with regular, honest communication across teams, across the organization. Yeah, it's the foundation here.
Okay.
But nevertheless, the strongest signatures won't save us when the first real incident hits. That's for sure.
Just out of curiosity, if the AI agents are authenticating with keys, let's say, I think that's how people are talking about identity for the AI agents. and quantum computing probably can break those keys or impact those keys, then how would the AI agent identity would be managed just from your perspective?
It needs integration with PKI.
Got it.
Otherwise, you are here. It has to be automatic. These things are automated, and it would make no sense to build authentication on the AI agent layer with certificates without a PKI behind it. So this is the basic which has to run. And God bless, most organizations have a PKI. Maybe they don't even know about it. They need certificates for internal purposes, and may have one of the basic flavor CA from Microsoft, for example. This is a start to do it.
I think this is really insightful. I don't think so many organizations will be aware about it, because I know that there are AI agents being deployed in organizations right, left, and center,
Yeah.
and for productivity and for whatnot. And there are startups popping up as well, which are doing these AI agents identity management, but nobody is talking about how these identities can be integrated into your existing PKI for your cryptographic validation and trust. So I think that's really insightful.
Yeah, there are a lot of white pieces, and we have to fill them.
Moving into the zone of the supply chain security, and I think it's also close to your heart because you are in manufacturing and specifically automotive sector. And I think you have posted extensively as well about the NPM supply chain attacks, dependency poisoning, the need for authenticity by default. In automotive manufacturing, the supply chain is both digital and physical, right? How does the whole AI change the supply chain equation, threat landscape for a manufacturers in your sector? And where do you say are the blind spots where security leaders needs to focus?
Mhm. It's an important question. I think AI widens the attack surface in two directions. And I know this is, first of all, the area you have talked about, the digital supply chain. So the M-style poisoning of AI dependencies. Yeah, you most certainly need software for it, and they have a lot of dependencies, unfortunately. The model weight tampering is an aspect, and of course, the physics aspects. So think about AI in some vendor ECUs or vision systems inside of our plants. Yeah? Blind spots are AI components treated as black boxes from tiered 2 or 3 suppliers. And the fact that many AI vendors don't provide SBOMs or attestations yet is something which makes the governance part especially harder. Yeah? Because how can you now judge about something like this? Yeah? How can you value the individual risk of an AI component? However, now from the Kiekert perspective, a compromised AI quality control system could ship faulty ledgers at scale. So this is something you can't risk. So you need something more from the inner guts. Yeah? Look more into the dependencies of the software system.
And just on the back of that, specifically on the digital side, I know, for example, how the whole coding has evolved with the AI models like vibe coding and that. I have seen, or CISOs have discussed with me on this podcast, that the key risk they think maybe down the line in 6 months, 8 month time is when your developers or your internal IT team are pulling in some of the vibe coded open source packages from the internet, GitHub, which is making their work more efficient or making it more quick. But basically, they are importing, they don't know what's inside that package, and it's already vibe coded as well. I don't know, have you got any views on this? Do you think this is a risk as well?
Yeah, of course, it's a risk. Nevertheless, you already have good actions to mitigate such things, like having a good CI/CD process in place, which also involves a lot of checks. Yeah, for malicious dependencies and also updates of these databases. So this is one aspect to get a little bit more secure here. But I would even start before that. I would really provide guidance to avoid vibe coding and learn more about the basics.
Just a little bit more going deeper on the supply chain side and specifically on the digital risk. And I think because you are in the sector of manufacturing and automotive specifically, because when I was researching and reading about your sector and what happens globally, in automotive, a compromised AI in a vehicle component could have physical safety risks along with the other risks, other consequences we have, right? Do you think that risk should be like with AI coming in and that risk could be assessed slightly differently, or the current risk management frameworks covers that part and maybe it's more implementation is what needs to happen correctly, but we have the basics already, or do you think the basics are missing?
Would say it needs specific frameworks for this use case, and that people also bring up checks and tests which have to be run through. Yeah. Or same like in the benchmarking field, where you have a specific kind of benchmarking towards the models, so that you can get an idea how good a model is for a specific area. And that's also what I would expect, especially for this kind of use case, that we grow specific tests for AI in that field.
Yeah. I think one of your posts got around 1,600 reactions, I think, where you argued about software doesn't become safer just because it's written in a language that promises memory safety. Most bugs aren't about memory, they are about the logic integration and plain human shortcuts. Does the same apply to AI governance? Are we sort of over-indexing on AI specific frameworks where the real problems are logic, process, and human shortcuts?
Yeah, it's exactly the same principle for me. It applies to AI governance. We are over-indexing on shiny AI-specific frameworks, while ones are still logic errors, poor integration. Yeah, we talked about vibe coding. Yeah, you just pull one package over and you don't test it. Yeah, rushed shortcuts again in processes. Yeah, and missing human oversight is the core if you break it down. So memory safety is, of course, important. You can make a religion out of it. I don't want to make it a religion. For me, most production incidents are still process or requirement failures. Yeah, most often we have human failure in some way. Yeah, so same for AI. Governance must start with understanding what the system is actually doing and who is accountable when it goes wrong. Yeah, so you need to have the entire process ready for the incident handling as well.
And from your perspective, does doing the right AI governance and security enables the organizations to better service or better, like, get better customer or do better service? Because, for example, in the digital, like where the organizations are selling tech, let's say products, we do see that their customer have got strict vendor sort of security requirements, and they are now coming up with, let's say, strict AI governance and security requirements. How is in the manufacturing side customers are treating vendors more on the tech side and specifically on the AI security governance? Has that started to come into discussions in questionnaires?
Yes, you see it in the supply chain risk questionnaires. It starts growing. If it really makes better services, I don't want to judge it. I think this question is open-ended. For me, it helps you to analyze in a better way. Yeah, if you still rely on the human's capability in the background, it's not about getting rid of humans and only do AI. So it can only succeed in the mixture of both.
One final question in this area, because your background was like programming assemblers, You have been on the technical side, but you have then on the leadership side as well. And you have seen so much of technology transformation from the web to cloud, SaaS, and now AI.
Mhm.
Mostly, I think there is a community which thinks that the whole security profession, compliance profession will be dead in the next 2 to 3 years. AI can do everything, AI can solve all the problems. Do you think similar, or do you have other thoughts?
No, I don't agree with this view. And yeah, back in the 80s, as I was a teenager, I spent countless nights in front of my Commodore 64. And I tried to understand this machine from the ground up. And I wrote assembly code just to make little game sprite dance on the screen. So I learned this processor has cycles, has different memory accesses for registers. And all of them, there was no help button, no autocomplete to help me. Yeah? I had to, first of all, get the right information from the library. And then I had to fiddle around with my machine. So I had to understand the machine. You simply wouldn't work. And I think these basics, they always have to be there. So if I think back in the time of the Commodore 64, this experience is something I still use today. I simply abstract it. The core is nearly the same. So if you go into programming, if you did assembler and you understood a machine from the ground up, you have some basics and you can build up on that, and you need that basics. And I don't think that this kind of basic and this kind of feeling, this kind of emotion can be transported into an AI model. Sorry to say that. So I'm very sure that I have my job in 3 years from here. And there's no AI model which is now simply called Volker and is doing my job. So AI model is something which gets you something working in seconds. But with the time, I don't fully grasp why it works. Yeah. So that's the danger. We are raising a generation of builders, who simply consume AI and they don't understand what's happening there. We don't know the basics of a machine, and in security especially. We need to bring back that deep technical emotion. So my advice is, if all of your programmers use Gen AI, I guess they will also grow tired because they don't feel the creative mood any longer. Introduce some understanding audits with new technologies, and make people explain it in their own words, and so others understand it and learn it. So this is the chance to actually understand what the system is doing under the hood, not just what it outputs. Otherwise, I would say we are just training consumers for iPads and not real defenders. We need humans and not AI capable humans.
Yeah, and I think one of your other insights which you just made, which is so much resonating with me, is we are raising this generation which is just the consumers of AI and who don't know how it actually works at the foundational level, who have not sort of like broken things and like not learned about it. When they come into the workforce, or if they are already in the workforce, what is the risk? And they are just relying on AI to do things. And when it all breaks, how they're going to fix it?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, best approach is get your fingers dirty and do some basic technology. Buy a Raspberry Pi, make a project and learn from it. Yeah, and don't do it with mainly AI. Do it from your own grounds.
Yeah, perfect. We are coming to the end of the
Yeah.
podcast. So I've got 3 questions. If you are sitting against your peer who is also a CISO in the manufacturing industry, similar size organization, looking ahead 12 to 24 months, what are the 2 things you're going to tell him are non-negotiables? He should be doing it right away.
I would say 3 things. So first of all, it's the PQC migration together. And this involves heavy work on the inventory of your crypto usage. Get an overview. The second one is get the supply chain visibility for your AI components. Yeah, concentrate on SBOM and attestations that I talked about. And the third one is building internal AI red team explainability capabilities, so you can actually understand what your models are doing before regulators or incidents force you to.
Understood. Really helpful. Now, the question which is left for you by the previous guest is, how are you currently thinking about or making sure that information security team is trained on the skill set which will be needed in the next 3 to 4 years when AI and AI agents will be all around?
Yeah, for my leadership role, I'm getting AI topics into nearly every meeting. So it is not a matter, to be honest, because it talks about AI. Yeah, AI is the hot topic everywhere. So more about technical things. Yeah, what are agents? What are skills? Yeah, and talking about these basics. So my colleagues who haven't heard about it or didn't went to some workshop getting these ideas together, to give them a little bit overview about this and getting them forward to put up new questions to get the answers. So we have a regular feedback on that. And yeah, that's what I am doing. Yeah.
Great answer. Now it's your turn to give me a question, which I'm going to ask to the next guest. The only thing is the question has to be in the AI governance and security space.
Yeah. What would be really interesting for me is, how do you see topics like data leakage in terms of AI? And do you think that we already have all the technical items together to prevent them?
Great question. It will be very interesting to see how they respond to this.
Yeah, I think so.
Yes. This is already a challenging topic on every security leader's notebook. Thanks a lot, Volker.
Thanks again for having me. It was a great discussion with you, great podcast. It made really fun.